Hey there, ready to dive into a story about a half marathon that went hilariously off the rails? And even if running isn't really your thing, stick around. This one's got some universal lessons about setting goals, dealing with setbacks, and listening to what your body's trying to tell you. So we're taking a deep dive into a blog post from Running Rebooted called November Half Marathon, When Plans Don't Go as Expected. And let me tell you, this runner was prepared. We're talking regular 12, 14K runs, badminton twice a week, football. I mean, the dedication was next level. This wasn't just about finishing the half marathon. This was about smashing a personal best. They even mentioned a previous PB at the Victoria Park half, so they had the track record to back it up.
It's that confidence built on a solid training plan that makes what happens next so unexpected. This wasn't someone just winging it. They understood the dedication and strategy it takes to prep for an endurance event. That detail about their previous personal best, that's not just bragging rights. It tells us they were approaching this race with realistic expectations based on real results. They thought they knew what they were capable of.
And they were right, they did. Or at least they thought they did.
Exactly. But this is where things get really interesting, because life, as we all know, loves throwing curveballs when we least expect it. And in this runner's case, the curveball came in the form of a nasty flu just 1 week before race day.
Ugh, a runner's worst nightmare. I'm wincing just thinking about it. So what did they do? Did they scale back? Take it easy.
Well, that's the thing about us humans, isn't it? We can be a stubborn bunch, especially when we've poured our heart and soul into a goal. This runner decided to push through some of their remaining training sessions, even though, as they admit in the blog, they were definitely not feeling 100%. Talk about dedication, right?
Okay, so we've got a runner battling a nasty flu just days before a big race. You'd think rest would be the priority, right?
Absolutely. Even a seemingly mild illness can throw a wrench into an athlete's carefully calibrated system. We're talking about a weakened immune response, potential dehydration, even compromised lung capacity. Not exactly the ideal recipe for a personal best.
Not to mention the mental energy drain. Fighting off a bug takes a toll, even when you're not about to run a half marathon.
Exactly. And that's where things get tricky, because in that moment, with the finish line in sight, sometimes our inner drive to stick to the plan overrides those crucial signals from our bodies. This runner's decision to push through, it's understandable, even relatable, but it also highlights a crucial lesson. Sometimes the smartest move is flexibility. Sometimes adjusting the goal, is the win.
It's that whole life happens thing, right? But I'm curious, in a situation like this, what does that flexibility actually look like? If you're this runner, how do you even begin to adapt your game plan at the last minute?
Well, for starters, it's about shifting the focus from pushing through to prioritizing recovery. Imagine this runner swapping out those grueling training sessions for gentle walks, focusing on hydration and nutrient-rich foods to support their immune system. It's about giving your body what it needs to heal, even if it feels counterintuitive to your goal.
So kind of like hitting the reset button, both physically and mentally.
Precisely. Because remember, this wasn't just a minor inconvenience, it was a major disruption to their training regimen.
All right, so the stage is set. Our runner, slightly worse for wear but determined as ever, lines up at the starting line. Did they manage to salvage those personal best dreams? Or did the universe have other plans?
Well, remember that curveball we talked about? It wasn't done with our runner just yet.
Oh no, this doesn't sound good.
Let's just say that race day itself turned out to be a roller coaster, complete with unexpected twists and, unfortunately, not a fairy tale ending.
Okay, I'm on the edge of my seat here. Race day, roller coaster, no fairy tale ending. Hit me with the details. What actually went down?
Picture this. It's drizzling, our runner's at the starting line, and they're completely overthinking their rain gear.
Oh, I know that feeling.
Should they wear a jacket?
Yeah.
Won't it be too bulky? You know those moments when you overthink the simplest decisions?
Oh, yeah.
That was this runner with the raincoat.
I've been there. It's like all sense of logic flies out the window the second you realize you might be overdressed or underdressed.
Exactly. And those little anxieties, they can really throw you off your game, especially in a high-stakes situation like a race. Not exactly the Zen mindset you want at the starting line.
So, not the most auspicious start.
Yeah.
But did things at least pick up once the race got going?
Actually, yes. The first 11 kilometers went surprisingly well. Our runner was hitting their stride, feeling good. For a moment there, it seemed like maybe, just maybe, they were going to pull off that personal best after all.
Okay.
But
remember that curveball.
Uh-oh. Here it comes. At the 15K mark, it hit. And, I mean, it hit hard. We're talking the dreaded wall of bricks, can't go another step energy crash.
Ouch. That's rough, even for someone in peak condition, let alone someone who'd been battering the flu all week.
Mhm.
Their poor body must have been screaming for a timeout.
Precisely. This is a classic example of how our best intentions can be undermined by, well, biology. Remember all that talk about compromised immunity, depleted glycogen stores? The bill, as they say, comes due. Add to that the mental strain of watching a goal slip away mid-race.
It's like the universe decided to pile on at the worst possible moment.
Exactly. And this is where things get really interesting from a psychological perspective. Imagine training for weeks, visualizing that PD, only to have your body basically revolt mid-race. It takes incredible willpower to push through that kind of disappointment and physical distress.
It's that inner Goggins we talked about earlier, right? The almost superhuman ability to keep going when everything in you is screaming for a break.
Exactly. And that's exactly what our runner did. They dug deep, fought through the pain, even took an emergency toilet break, and powered through a pounding headache.
Wow, talk about dedication. Did they manage to salvage a decent finish time after that epic meltdown?
A decent finish time, let's just say they finished. According to the blog, a kind lady offered them drinks afterwards, commenting on how pale they looked. And when they finally met up with their friend, let's just say the friend's reaction to their appearance made it clear that this was a run for the history books.
Wow, paints quite a picture, doesn't it? But hey, they finished. That's got to count for something, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the bigger takeaway here, isn't it? Life throws curveballs. Sometimes it's the flu derailing your half marathon. Sometimes it's a completely different kind of setback. What matters is how we adapt, how we redefine success in the face of the unexpected.
It's not always about hitting that initial goal, but about digging in and finding a way to cross that finish line, whatever that looks like in the moment.
Exactly. And this runner's experience, it's a powerful reminder to listen to our bodies, to be kind to ourselves when things don't go according to plan. Because sometimes just finishing IS the victory.
So to our listener out there, we're curious. When has life thrown you one of those curveballs that totally upended your carefully made plans? How did you handle it? Did you push through or did you adjust your course? And what did you learn from that experience? Keep those thoughts brewing because even when things go sideways, or maybe especially when things go sideways, there's always a lesson to be learned. And hey, there's always another chance to lace up those metaphorical running shoes and give it another go.